I'm interested to know defensively what your approach has been now that you're the head coach. Do you like to go over there, or is it more, I just let the coaches do their thing? What's been your approach now that you're the head coach now?
Well, I go over there, and that's definitely been, talking about adjustments, that's definitely been a big adjustment for me because I've always been just offense and just kind of like, hey, defense, handle your stuff, give me the ball. But Tony Jarrod is the defensive coordinator. Fantastic job. Tony's been coaching for 28 years. He's very, very sound. He's very, very particular. He's very, very structured in what he does. So I go over as far as the practice plans and that kind of thing is concerned. And when we go defensive team, I'm obviously looking at what we're doing. We're putting I wanted to put an emphasis on tackling. I think last year we ran into trouble with the defensive backs. Third and longs gave us a problem in tackling. We're not blazing speed by any stretch of the imagination, and so anybody that's playing on us, we don't want to be a one play and score team. We want to try to control the clock offensively and defensively the same thing. People are going to score on us, I understand that, but at least make them drive, make them execute, be able to come up and make tackles, and try not to get beat deep over top. And so far in the summer, he's come a long, long way. Now we are two platooning it, where Tony basically has his practice going, I have my practice going, and then we'll have times during basic situations, special teams, and then team periods where we'll mix in. And we film everything, so a lot of the things, as far as my critiques defensively, happen either before practice on practice schedules and that kind of thing, or it's going to happen in film when we watch practice.
How does you being an offensive guy, where you can maybe sit down and look at Tony and go, hey, I would do this to try to stop us, or how does your offensive background help? Do you see like it's been helping maybe him or just the overall defense get better, because maybe you're seeing something that they're not seeing being an offensive guy?
Right. Well, that's when we go back on film. I tell them who I would attack. If I was running this offense, I would attack that kid by doing this, and then we try to simulate that in practice as well. So if that's the case, and I say, hey, the strong safety's not doing a good job in coverage, he's not doing play action, he's not stepping up, whatever the case may be, we'll go out and we'll practice that situation, and I'll attack that, which is good for us as well. And so. Yeah, I mean, it helps, but Tony's also been an offensive coordinator, so he's very knowledgeable as far as X's and O's, and I just tell him what they're doing, what I think will hurt them, and coaches, no matter what, when you get into practice, there's a competition element even with us. I want to beat him every single time we play. Now, as a head coach, I don't want to beat him too bad, right, because I want our defense to be okay. And then defensively, they have a lot of kids that played last year that were freshmen, that are now sophomores that are playing. We're much, much, much better on the back end, defensive back-wise. We're hurting up front. We lost all those big kids, offensive line, defensive linemen last year, and that's where we're going to be struggling the most this year as well.
All right, let's start with your strength then. Talk to me about the secondary, some kids that are going to see some playing time there that played last year probably.
Yeah, pretty much all of them played last year, and last year we were not good in the secondary by any stretch of the imagination. But we had one kid that started last year that had a broken hand. He was a freshman, and he played with a cast on his hand as a true freshman, and we're lining up against Carr. Well, that kid, again, off-season in the weightlifting program has been really good. That kid has put on about 15 pounds. Hayden Dejon's his name, and he's a kid that he can play a little bit everywhere. His football IQ's pretty good, especially he's going to be a sophomore. So he'll play a little bit of that strong safety, he'll play a little bit of that free safety, and he'll play a little bit of that corner. They're kind of moving guys around, trying to figure out who fits where right now. We have another sophomore, Nick Livingston, who's a 6-foot kid, fastest kid on the team. Obvious issues as far as being a sophomore, just technique-wise, things that he needs to improve on at the corner spot, but has had a real good off-season, good summer, good skills. He'll be okay. At the other corner, you have another new kid, Rashad Tillman, who's going to be a sophomore, again, a 6-foot kid, and Hayden will also play in that corner spot. Come a long way, but again, a sophomore, and done pretty well. The strong safeties are both very strong. We have Devin Hart, who's a returner, who's going to be a junior next year, and Devin's a great-looking kid, very physical, very athletic. He's one of the stronger suits, and the other strong safety is Matt Elsenson, again a returner, started as a sophomore as a running back, and Matt's a pretty good player. Another kid is Seth Davis, and Seth played in the defensive backfield last year as well. He's playing safety, but will also play that corner. So sometimes if Seth might play that corner, Hayden might play the safety, and vice versa. They'll kind of switch until they figure out what's what, or they'll package based on what they're doing. Seth's a little bit of a smaller kid, but fast kid. He can run, very explosive, even though he's a smaller guy. He's good there. And then linebacker-wise, again, the Stoddard kid that played running back last year is playing at inside linebacker, which gives them, he's an athletic kid. He's a bigger body. And I think that helps as far as the running and covering. And based on the teams that we're playing are mostly spread skill teams to do that. We have another kid who's going to be a sophomore, Tyler Mason, playing the linebacker spot, and a senior but a new football player. He was with us last year, Chase Brown, who's a powerlifting kid, big body. He's come a long way linebacker-wise, and those three are kind of battling it out to see what's what. Like I said, Austin's going to be a guy that kind of goes back and forth. Tyler and Chase are going to be a constant at that linebacker spot.
All right, you talked about it. You still got to have a defensive line, even if they're young.
Mm-hmm.
One of those, you may take your lumps. Hopefully it's just an early season thing, and as they get it, they'll get better. But who has to play up front for you and battle in the trenches?
Well, we need to win our games early. Most important, I mean, I don't know the last time that they won a district game in Pearl River. Obviously, that's where we want to be. But I try not to look forward way too far. Right now, I'm worried about Fontainebleau, and I'm worried about Springfield in the spring game. I think a lot of times coaches look way ahead down this line, and we're going to save this, and we're not saving anything. Every win for us is going to matter. If we're able to win our games early, which is what happened last year, we won our games early. We lost in district, and we made the playoffs. And that's the goal. Ultimate goal is to make the playoffs. So those kids are going to have to step it up now. Now, the defensive ends, one of the returners is Zach Ussery. Great kid, physical kid, decent size, runs real well. I think he's going to be a good player. Our strongest pound-for-pound kid, an athletic kid who had a bunch of injuries last year, ankle stuff, just nicks and bruises throughout the time, is a kid, A.J. Muntz, who is very athletic. Very, very, very happy with him at the defensive end. So the ends are okay. Again, the inside, the linemen, big guys, is kind of what Pearl River's been known for the last couple of years, is where we're hurting the most. We have a kid that was an offensive lineman last year, Barry Freeman, who was a big body. He's a 300-pounder, but new to the position, not the fleetest of foot, but again, working and getting better. We have another kid who's going to be a sophomore, CJ Pezzulo. Again, he's probably about a 275-pound kid. He's a big kid, but he's going to be a sophomore. And so they're making those sophomore mistakes. Both of those guys were offensive linemen last year, and now they're defensive linemen. They're big bodies just trying to plug it up.